when it comes to making placement ready samples for artists like Drake or even Lil TJ, the magic is really in the details. The melody itself doesn't have to be overly complex, but those small subtle touches are what make it stand out and connect emotionally. Let me show you my approach for creating this type of samples. So I started off with some keys from Hybrid Keys right here. These R&B Drake samples are known for being simple yet super catchy, with a vibe that's both emotional and memorable. And with that in mind, I laid down these chords. As you can see right here, the chords are not playing on every beat, but some of them are playing a bit ahead. And the chord progression is really common for these type of samples. It's just going down the scale. So I chose the scale right here, A minor, and I went down the scale. After setting the chords, I want to add a top line melody to smooth out the transition and give the sample a bit more variation. So for that, I just followed the chord progression using some descending notes to create that sense of movement. Sound selection is really key right here, so take the extra bit of time to choose the right sounds. So for me right here, I went into Analog Lab, and it's a bank from Mac Shooter. It's called Sound Source Volume 3, and it's this faded pad right here. I also added some EQ, some panning with Shaper Box, some delay, and also some saturation and distortion. As I said, takes the extra bit of time and make the sound fit perfectly. As I said before, the beauty of this kind of samples is the simplicity. So to keep things minimal yet effective, I decided to bring a vocal element to it. So I went on Splice and I found this vocal sample right here. So I chopped the sample up in some different parts and I added some sort of reverse notes right here, just to give it a bit more variation. And of course I had to make the vocal fit seamlessly into the sample. So for that I decided to start off with a simple EQ, cutting some of the lows and some of the highs. Afterwards adding a bit of flangers to it to make it more wobbly. Some delay to widen it up, some vintage verb to fill up the space, and if you really need to and the EQ is enough and you want to get that R&B feeling, you can even add some origins right here. This is the perfect plugin for adding that old school flavor to it. Really great for these R&B samples. So now the foundation for the main melody was done. So next I just grabbed a synth bass to fill up that low end. So I went back to Analog Lab and I chose this plugged bass right here. And here I just copied the chord progression down and fill up the root notes right here. And finally, I found this percussion loop right here. And I just added some origins to give it that vintage sound. And that's it guys, that was the main melody. But remember, the attention is in the detail. So you've got to have some different sections so the melody and the sample doesn't feel as repetitive and boring. So for the intro, I let everything play together. The accents, the bass, the keys, the vocals, and even the percussion loop. After, on the second section right here, I choose to dip the energy a bit. So I took down the bass and left some space for the drums to come in. Also, I took just some vocal parts instead of the whole vocal. Finally, for the last section, maybe the producer wants to add some sort of a bridge or variation to the entire beat afterwards, so I just left the keys and the accent part by itself. And one final tip for you guys: if you want to export your samples, make sure to use a simple hi-hat in between all your stems and with regular intervals, so that when the producer uses your samples, he already know where he has to cut your loop to get all the stems on the right place. This is because the hi-hats are usually playing in regular intervals. And there you go guys, now you know how to make these placement ready R&B Drake type samples. If you found this video helpful, give it a like and leave a comment down below what you have learned. Don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials like this, and let's see each other in the next one guys. Bye.